All right. Announcements. We are not meeting on Friday for Zoom, and we are not meeting next Friday for Zoom. So it's designed to give you more time on reading, researching, and writing. And your forum post on Friday is due by midnight, not before class. And then your peer comments are due by Sunday. And then the revised post is due on Monday. We're going to spend next week writing a cover, or in class writing the beginnings of a cover letter and understanding how ways you can approach that. And today we're really understanding how to research an employer to build ethos. So our goal here is to understand ethos first and foremost, and there's some really good gems in the reading on Aristotle's take on character and ethos and why that's significant. And then kind of seeing how that applies to the job search and what it looks like to write a targeted cover letter. So in order to do that though, before we go there, I really designed this unit to kind of be, to try to argue really to you all that the rhetorical theory that we've been studying directly applies to real life situations, and writing arguments is kind of an essential skill to be able to succeed, depending on how you define success. So what I want to do to get us going today, we are on the middle of week 5. So we're about halfway through, halfway through 1/3 of the way through the class, or almost 1/3 of the way through the class. Oh boy, hopefully this goes better. I want to know what the key ideas we've learned so far are. If you were to boil down the first 5 weeks of class, we looked at the writing process. We looked at understanding our why we're in college and how to get the best education. We looked at rhetorical theory and applied rhetorical theory to reading articles. And now we're looking to apply rhetorical theory to real life situation that you choose. What would you say, if you were to boil down the work we've done so far, what is the main takeaway or some kind of a lesson? What's the big idea so far of the course, if any?
I think it's understanding how and why people write the way that they do and harnessing that to be a better writer ourselves.
Awesome. So we have understanding the how and why of other people's writing. To improve our own writing. Excellent. Other ones? There's not a right answer here, but that's a pretty darn good one. What else?
I think that like if you're able to understand the ways people write, then like you're able to kind of dissect their writing and not get like manipulated or like not lose an argument because you know what they're doing. And so you're kind of able to like pick at it. I think in that last article we just read in the book kind of talks about that, how if you just analyze it, you're like, see what they're doing. You won't just get the curtain pulled over your head.
Oh, so Merck loves me. Yeah, good. I'm gonna, basically, these are 2 ways of saying, if I'm gonna boil down both of those points into 2 words, I would call it critical thinking. It's the idea to not only just see what not only just read what you're reading, but understanding why people are doing what they're doing, understanding how they're doing what they're trying to do, and then using that. So for me, I'm gonna call that critical thinking in all caps. And I like the way you said, Nick, to not be manipulated by others, so that you're able to kind of look through the manipulative work. Interesting point on that. We are very easy to tell when people are manipulating us when we do not believe what they believe. So, and it's a lot harder to tell people are manipulating us when we agree with what they're saying. So if I agree with you, I'm less likely to critically question what you're saying. Just Fascinating. Okay, good. Other big points. We have critical thinking, and then on the craft of writing, understanding. Any other big points?
I think those 2 points sum it up pretty well, but one thing I would add is, taking writing skills from like college essay more to like the professional world.
Can you say a little bit more on that, or anybody on that? What is one of the main differences between academic writing and professional world writing?
I think a lot of times in in academic writing, you are encouraged to write as much as you can. And professional writing, we talked a lot about that economy and writing detailed, but also succinctly.
Yes. Your cover letter cannot be more than a page, single spaced. So you're going to really try to write as little as possible, but also write as much as possible in that little space. And that's how I would say it as well. It's going to depend on the situation. We still haven't gotten the one lesson that I'm really, one of the ways, there's two big ways I can think about everything we've done so far. Is anybody else thinking like kind of big lessons distilling the first 5 weeks?
I feel with like academic writing, like you can use jargon and you don't have to explain it, but with professional writing, you kind of have to explain what you're talking about because it's more for like the general public.
Yes, and I was hoping someone would say something about jargon, the language you use, how much they know what you're talking about. It's interesting with the cover letters, and we're going to circle back to this. You do want to note when you're taking notes, it's good to use the language that they use. So if I'm applying at a bank and they talk about customer service satisfaction, it's good language to use. Good. Other ones, other key lessons from the class that hopefully.
You're writing to a completely different audience.
Yes.
I mean, the audience is key. That's a big lesson.
That was one of the ones I was hoping for. Audience is everything. Audience is key. So, and that's one of the ones that we're really going to carry through here. Your cover letter is going to be to a specific person. And I'm hoping that your cover letters will look differently from each other because you're expressing a different set of experiences, but you're also expressing a set of experiences to a particular audience that cares about particular things. So audience, I would say values, beliefs are the big ones. Concerns, constraint are all different words to say constraints, but kind of writing to the audience. Any other ones? That's fantastic. The other one that's on this list so we can get going that was really good is the idea of common ground, that without common ground, argument is difficult to work. And with common ground, that's usually like where argument works. When we both believe the same thing about fill in the blank, Second Amendment, good banking, poodles. When we have common ground, we're going to believe the same kinds of things, and then that is really helpful, a way to think about this. Okay, so we have audience is everything, building common ground with your audience, understanding how other people are writing to copy the how and why of what they're writing to be able to monitor our own writing, and then critical thinking in terms of not just being able to see what we read, question it, see whether or not we believe it. Okay, what I'd like to do now is then look at this idea of ethos, and I can shift over to notes. And look at what ethos is according to Griffin, and then how to we're trying to figure out how to research an employer. I should put this back. A job, task, and employer to build that ethos. So the background here is that we know that, but just to make sure, Aristotle, 300 BC, laid out 3 different main rhetorical appeals or classes of appeals that people use to persuade others. And that's the sense of logos, pathos, and ethos, where logos is a sense of logic and reasoning, usually statistics, numbers, data, we could say left brain. Kind of when if I give you like a bunch of statistics about something and then give you a reasoned argument, I'm appealing to logos or logic. Pathos is more emotions, which usually gets expressed in terms of values, a sense of what we care about, our motivations. Sometimes sources of authority can bring out pathos. If I talk about Martin Luther King, or you know, somebody that I feel strongly about, that's another place that we can use emotions. It's powerful. I could say, this is why, like, you know, think of the children, or can I get a picture of you with the baby, Mr. Senator? Is all emotions. Ethos is the interesting one here. I learned this as credibility, like what you do to establish credibility. We're kind of looking at this in terms of trustworthiness, like why and how should I trust you? What can you do to gain someone's trust that does not know you? And it's also been defined as character. Okay. From this background, Griffin's sense of ethos, did we get a good definition of what he said ethos was comprised of, those 3 good words?
Goodwill, good moral character, and the last one was, sorry, goodwill. Oh, good sense.
Good
Sorry.
sense, or good understanding. You could see, he kind of, the way he talks about good sense is kind of like a good understanding of a situation. Okay, so the cool question here is how these ideas connect to your ability to write an effective cover letter, and more generally speaking, your ability to be successful long-term in your career trajectory. I actually want to start with this one and ask this question to see if you buy it. Do you think good moral character, maybe I should put moral in parentheses here. Do you think a good character increases your chances of getting a job?
I think it depends on what the job is.
Good, I agree.
I think would help keep a job. I'm not so sure if they know right away if your character is good initially when starting a job.
That's a great point. How do you even tell whether or not someone has a good character? They could be lying to you about themselves. How many of you would say that you all want to hang around good people? Like you want to be around good people? However you define that. Do you think that it's a fair generalization to say that most human beings want to be around good people? That's what Aristotle's argument really is that we want to be around people that are good people. And so if you can not only present yourself as a good person, but actually be a good person, you increase the likelihood that people will want to hang around you and therefore increase your opportunities. It's the foundation of good friendships as well. Any questions or comments on this? I mean, I guess if I'm applying for work at a mafia headquarters, do I need to be a good person if I'm applying to be a hitman?
They definitely have to be able to trust you.
Boom! No doubt. Okay. All right. What I'd like to do is get a sense, I want to get some quotes to help our notes if we're doing that. Quotes that stood out to you as being relevant from the text. We have the one that ethos is goodwill, good moral character, and a good sense, and we're going to expand on that. But other quotes that seemed important to you? I would start, if I was reading this, with the final paragraph on 101. If I was really like looking to skip around, I would cut right to the chase and see how they end the article. That's right on 101 to 102. It's a short paragraph. It says, students of business communications who reflect on this crisis are able to understand how the messages crafted by Merck exist in a complex rhetorical environment and how writers must rely on audience analysis, clarity of purpose, and applied principles of persuasive credibility. That seems like a good one. Students can also be shown how strategies to which they have been introduced, such as active voice, confident tone, direct syntax, and emphasis in sentences and paragraphs, emphasis just meaning bold, I think, based on the examples, support persuasive principles. The Merck open letters responding to the Vioxx crisis offer students a microcosm of their business communications course and demonstrate that their course material is relevant, applicable, and dynamic. Well, thank you for that. I don't care. Writers must rely on audience analysis, clarity of purpose, and principles of persuasive credibility. Writers must rely on audience analysis, clarity of purpose, and applied principles. Other quotes that anybody found, and honestly, there's so much packed into this quote, given that we're really going to be working on clarity of purpose for reasons that will become apparent. That's why I gave you the Simon Sinek video on leaders start with why, on how important it is to have a really good why and a really good purpose. If your purpose is to just get a job, and then the next person who interviews you, their purpose is to help parents with the poodle care needs that they need. I don't know. They have a more authentic and realistic purpose. That probably that purpose is going to win. And applied principles. Okay, other quotes. Did you find anything that stood out to you?
So one I liked was on page 98 at the beginning of the second paragraph, or the first paragraph underneath the title. And it says, an analysis of the open letter from Merck shows how Merck responded to the criticism by constructing an ethos of commitment and to science and patience.
Yes.
And then it kind of explains as they like go down in the article that they're talking about like all the other good things they've done and how they like believe in their scientists and basically like look how good we are and how fast we responded to this and how many other people we've helped in other ways.
Yes, and why did you choose that one? I agree that's a really important one, but I don't think I didn't. Why did that stand out to you?
Because I thought it was important that they were like building their ethos argument based on the same people that like said the medicine was bad.
Mm-hmm.
So by kind of saying that they believe in those people and they trust those people, it like helps build their credibility in. Instead of turning the scientists like into the enemy, they're like, oh, well, these guys are good. They help us all the time. We like them. We like that they told us that our medicine was bad, basically.
Super smart. So these people that are able to, instead of like drawing them away, pushing them away, they're like, actually, we really like these people and this is our mission and this is what we care about. Notice it's not like we actually only care about our profits and profitability. It's that we care about patients and what science has to say. Very good one, Nick. Other ones, that was 98.
I picked one out on page 98 as well that talked about it said the rhetorical challenges described all hinge on the ability to demonstrate good sense, goodwill, and good moral character. And I specifically like the rhetorical challenges piece because I think it's really, that's kind of important. And the rhetorical challenges, I guess, could be like the constraints or even part of the exigence.
Yes, good. Can you read that one again?
Sure. The rhetorical challenges described all hinge on the ability to demonstrate good sense, goodwill, and good moral character.
Good. We're going to come back and kind of break down goodwill, good moral character, and good sense together as they apply to jobs. Good. Other ones? You can see that they do repeat that over and over again. So you're right that that is like a central idea here.
I also found one on page 100. As Aristotle specifically mentions two means to garner the audience's trust, matters of money and personal safety. And I picked that one just because I was thinking of like the context of this module and what we're going to be doing for the project, which would be appealing to money.
I had that one too. I like that one a lot.
I had that one as well, and it's kind of like a very basic one. Safety first for sure in a lot of industries that you really care about personal safety, in large part because it costs companies a ton of money to deal with workers' comp stuff, and appealing to money interests as well. Good. Other ones?
These two kind of like go together. So they're one's on 100 and one's on 101, but
Yes.
the first one is people will face danger calmly if they have a means to deal with it. And then the other one is not quite related to danger, but it's fear is caused by whatever we feel has great power of destroying or harming us, or in any ways that tend to cause pain. So if like,
can you say the
for
first?
example,
Can you back up and just start that again? Because this is a really good point.
Do I have to read the whole quote, or can I just do like part of it?
That's part of it. Just people.
Yeah, Aristotle's statement that people will face danger calmly, quote, if they have means to deal with it.
Awesome. That seems incredibly pertinent to today. And then the other part?
Fear is caused by whatever we feel has great power of destroying or harming us in ways that tend to cause great pain.
Yes.
And I don't think pain necessarily means like injury. Pain could also be like financial burden or stress or like
rejection.
Emotional issues. Yeah.
Rejection's a big one. Good. And I don't know if you noticed there's advanced, they found that people that are able to communicate areas of safety to be close to areas of safety and to not bring up things that are fearful, like in their interviews and in their materials, did better. So you don't want to in your cover letter be like, I know I don't have the experience you're looking for, because that's like kind of, that might be dangerous to them. So yeah, your idea, you want to kind of be closer to the things that give a sense of safety and security, and kind of not be close to the things that cause fear. Good. The one thing on character that I saw, I like the section on 96 through 98, the Aristotle's Principles of Ethos. So it kind of went over where it said good sense, good moral character, and goodwill. Corbett says that discourse on the bottom of 96 must show that the speaker or writer has an adequate, if not professionally erudite, grasp of the subject being talked about, has seen a proper perspective, has read widely, and has good taste and discriminating judgment. So this is a sense of proper perspective and a grasp of being what's talked about, of knowing what's being talked about. I thought was really important. '96. And then So let's begin looking at this and how it applies to job search and note taking for a targeted cover letter. One, let's look at good character. There are, according to Aristotle, this is just really quick as what it goes over in the text, but it's worth repeating. The virtues, his ethical system is called virtue ethics. The virtues are the traits of character that enable us to flourish, succeed, be truly happy. The Greek word for this is eudaimonia. And it's the sense that it lists justice, courage, temperance, which is a kind of like moderation, generosity as being there, that show themselves in good actions, things that lead to health, beauty, and the like, pleasure and life that lead to. So we have sense of courage, kindness, patience. Humility is an interesting one next with courage, like the being humble and not being too self-assured, moderation, and all of these, interestingly, did I keep this up? No. They're all a golden mean. They're all a balance between extremes. So it's possible to have too much of any one of these virtues or not enough. So if I have two, yeah, there we go. We can look at any one of these virtues and see, like, if I'm brave, if I have too much of this, that's an excess. And if I have too little of it, there's a deficiency. And so we're looking for the middle way, the golden mean between having too much and not enough of being industrious, spirited, friendly, truthful, so on and so forth. Why is this significant in the job search? Anyone want to guess what I'm about to say? What kinds of virtues should I be paying attention to? If I need good character, and we agreed that maybe some jobs character is going to be looked at differently. If I'm applying to be a mafia hitman, I definitely need trustworthiness. So they have a separate definition of what good character is. What kinds of
kind of what, oh,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's kind of what you talked about with courage and humility, like that balance. You can't come off too strong or too confident.
Yes. That's going one level deeper than, I wanted to say which virtues are most important to company culture.
I was going to say whatever you research. I mean, for
Yes.
that culture, you're going to find their values, right? Where you
Yes.
lose the constraints. That's the idea.
So you're right that this really corresponds to values, basically. When we talk about company values, well, it's our company belief, let's use Facebook, to connect people. We want to connect people because we believe that people are better when they're connected. Any company is going to value certain virtues above other ones. And so part of your goal when you're researching is to find the values or virtues that are most significant to that company. It might also be, and to, for the other point of how much of a virtue to show, if it's too little or too much, that can be pretty hard to do. But an important point. So we're researching on what we can do to which values and virtues the company values the most. Any other questions or points on this? How long do you think Aristotle said it took to build a good character? It's basically, he honestly said that his sense of happiness is to be measured over an entire life. So you can't really tell whether or not you're happy until the end of your life. A very interesting claim, I think, especially considering if someone asks how, like, basically if I asked you how happy you are and you're Aristotle, you would say, I don't know yet. Like, ask me when I'm about to die and then I'll tell you. Which I think is super compelling and interesting, especially in a culture that prioritizes happiness right away, especially like right after you graduate, you're expected to have these certain kinds of things that might be unrealistic. So another interesting way into this is definitely, you could ask, what qualities or virtues do I want to build? Oh, right. I should say that virtues are through practiced habituation. So you don't just become a truthful person like that. You become a truthful person by practicing the habits of truthfulness. But maybe not too truthfulness, like, how does this dress make me look? Well, it makes you look great. I don't know, that's a bad example. What qualities or virtues do I want to practice, and then where can I practice them? It can be a very compelling pitch to an employer. And actually, let's cut ahead to this. What claim are you making? We agree that you're making an argument in your cover letter. So you're going to make an argument in your cover letter. What argument are you making?
That you should interview me.
Good. That was, yes. It is not, you should hire me. Is there another way you can think of? There's another way you could make this claim. I'm a great candidate for this position. Why? Now, here's where it gets interesting. Your reasons for why they should give you the interview. I like saying I'm a great candidate for this position. I also like saying I am really eager to sit down. You could phrase this like, I am eager to sit down for an interview. If you want to make it more personable, or not as direct, depending on what kind of a vibe you get from the position. Your reasons may be, I really want to get better at customer service. I'm pretty good. I'm a pretty darn good communicator as it is, but I want to get excellent at customer service. That's why I'm applying here. That's because the job said I'm going to be doing customer service. I want every customer to feel like I am the best customer service person they've ever encountered. Oh yeah, and I do, like, of course, like I want this job, but my reason for getting this job isn't I want a job. My reason for getting this job is that I want to be better at being really kind to customers. Oh, well, how would you do that? Well, I think it's about listening. So I really want to get better at listening and asking good questions so I can be better interacting with people. That's a pretty compelling argument, especially up against other ones that are like, well, I'm a hard worker and I've got good grades. So good. There's going to be some other things that, any other comments or questions about good character? Basically, there's two ways to approach this. One, you can look at what does the company that you're applying to want in a person, and so on and so forth, and how do I embody those virtues or values or characteristics? Characteristics, notice, is the same kind of root as character. Your character is the collection of characteristics that make you up: kind, patient, humble, so on and so forth. So you could see, like, what do they want and how can I match them? Or you can say, what do I want to build? What skills, values do I want to cultivate? And then who can give me a job to give me that? Both are totally valid. And this is another reason why I like this book a lot, the Designing Your Life book, because it kind of hints at the idea that a shitty job can be great if you're gaining the skills that you can then leverage for the next position. So even if it's a low paid or unpaid internship, but I'm gaining a skill that I can then market myself better the next time around, way more valuable than $10 an hour. if you use the position to build the skills that are going to help show you as the kind of candidate you want to be for the better job that is only available to people with those skills. Okay, let's look at goodwill, because this is honestly the one that I think is most significant in this. If I want, what is the good, what do I say, what is the goodwill in this situation of applying for a job? I'm going to lay out a couple of them. One is that you really actually want the company to succeed. I'm only applying to companies that I care about, that I want to succeed. So I'm applying to New Belgium because I freaking love New Belgium and I want New Belgium to succeed. And I think I can help this. I think I can help. So it's connected to, I want the company to succeed. I want to help doing these things. And here is the very interesting one. I'm going to put I in here as well. Or any other ones here? Maybe I shouldn't say. Can we anticipate the other more specific ones? So big picture, I want the company to succeed. Big picture, I want to help the company succeed. How can we make that more specific to the situation that you're going to be writing in? Has anybody been in a position where you've hired other people or been part of a hiring team? Highly recommended if you can do that. I want you to hire the right person. And I understand that that might not be me, even though I think I have everything that you need. I don't want to presume, I don't want to tell you that I'm the best fit, because I have no way of knowing if I'm the best fit. You've been running this team for a long time. I think I have a lot to offer, as I'm showing you, but it's ultimately up to you. And I really just want to do everything I can to help you make the best decision. Way more interesting to me, or demonstrates way more character than just saying, oh, I'm the best candidate. Of course I'm the best candidate. Be strong, right? Closely connected to this, I want to make this easy on you. Dear hiring manager, I'm going to make this super easy as I can to help you make the best decision. The more you can put yourself in another person's shoes, so interestingly, this is empathy and sympathy, the more you can understand where other people are coming from and will that they do well in what they're doing, the better you can do. And this is going to connect to good sense, because you can't argue well that you want the company to succeed if you don't know what success for that company is. If I'm running a nonprofit organization that wants to deliver toilets to people on Native American reservations that don't have them, or something, and I'm talking about like profitability and blah, 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 I need to understand the company goals and the job details, duties, which are active verbs. I posted that list of action verbs and we talked about this because that is the #1 easiest way to understand whether or not you are a good candidate for a position. Let's see. If I look at a job posting, this one for an internship we had in the startup media marketing company we started last year, and I just look at the verbs here: researching, writing, documenting, learning, helping, editing, managing, organizing, writing. I can then take those verbs, research, write, document, create, and then in my understanding so you're not only understanding company details, you are understanding the job position. And then you are honest about whether or not I'm going to say knock it out of the park. If you can do those things really well and you are excited to do them really well, that's good sense. Have you seen those memes where it's like what people think we do, what these people think we do, what I actually do? It's great ones for like being an independent, an indie band. What people think it's about and what it actually is about on a day-to-day basis is crazy different. Teaching is like that. A lot of jobs are like that. How do you know what the job actually entails? It's a really interesting question. How do you
Sean,
know?
I have a question, Sean.
Please, please. Yeah, I've been moving really fast.
So, how are you supposed to do all this if one of the things they mentioned in the article we just read is the speaker can cultivate the audience's perception of his goodwill, says Aristotle, if he's able to convince the listeners that he wishes good things for them, preferably not appearing to have benefit of the speaker. So like you're trying to do all this, but you're not trying to make it sound like you want to benefit from it. That doesn't, like obviously you're trying to benefit from it if you're applying for the position, right?
Yes.
So we just like, that theory just isn't relevant here.
No, I think it is, at least to take into consideration. And I think it's a matter of emphasis. If I'm applying for, let's pretend you're a hiring manager, and I'm basically, the sense you get from me is that I primarily want a really good job for myself, and I see this as an opportunity to advance my career. And also I want to do a good job, obviously, but let's be honest, like this is really for me. Versus the next candidate that's like, man, I really actually want to see this project succeed because I believe in this project. And from what I've researched and know about it, it's actually going to provide a lot of good and do a lot for this company, which seems like a really good company that I want to be a part of. And of course, like I want to get better at my job. Like this is, I'm 22. I'm going to use this to move on. Like it's, you see it. Which of those do you think is more trustworthy?
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's like one of them's like going in like, what's the salary?
Yes.
The other one's like, what's the project? Okay, I get that.
Yes,
All right.
because I want to be, I'm the kind of person that would rather work for a company that's doing good projects than just get the paycheck.
Gotcha. Cool.
Which honestly, if you're applying for a good company, if you're applying for a good position, the better the job, the more they're going to care about those intangible character things. I don't really care for McDonald's. I really just want to know that you can talk to people. You're going to be in like a higher level customer service management position. I want to know that you're aligned with what we believe. And honestly, here's another interesting example. The argument I've made for every teaching job and every grad school application is that I love this. Why do you want to be a philosophy master's student? I love school so hard. I love school more than anyone you know. I love philosophy. I love reading, and I would love the opportunity to further this because I think this is one of the most important things people can do, and I love it. Why should we give you a job as a teacher? I love teaching so much. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's selfish, right? So, I mean, and that's worked for me, and it's honest. I've been able to use that. Good. There's a couple points I wanted to make before. Other questions? That was a really good one. Part of good sense, I think, is the humility to be, okay. if you are at an entry-level job, it's very possible that you do not have any experience. So what do you have to offer if you do not have experience? What is it? What offer? What do you have to offer? Entry-level position, no previous experience. I don't know if you've seen this. A lot of jobs are like require experience, but then you can't get experience because all the jobs require experience. So it's like, great, where do I start? What do you have to
Like
offer? If you,
willing to learn and
yes.
pick things up quickly.
It's really interesting how you can show that you're willing to learn and help and adapt. One of the ways is to just show up to the interview and the cover letter, knowing more about the company than everyone else there. Being able to show that in an interesting way. Good. So what we're really looking for, key takeaways from all of this, is that I hope that you can take some time to find a company and a situation that you are interested in learning more about. And that is a really forward play. Like, I would love to sit and interview with you to learn more about this position, because frankly, I'm weighing 3 other offers that are pretty darn good. And I want to know if this one's better. So if you can get into a situation or find a situation that you're genuinely curious to learn more about because it seems awesome and it seems like you would love doing what you're doing there, then I think you're in a good position. Secondly, as you go through this, if we're going to follow the advice in this book, you should be noting and jotting down people that are interesting to you. If you can put a finger on why they're interesting, I would do that. But you want names and positions of people that are interesting to you for some reason. And then that's the step to networking, cold emailing people and being like, hey, I found your profile on this website when I was doing some research. I think it's really interesting. Your position seems really interesting. I would love to hear the story of how you got to where you are. It might help me clarify the direction I want to take when I graduate. I'm kind of at a crossroads. I'd like to know what it's like to be you, and you seem awesome. That is a great way to network, and honestly might be more effective than writing a targeted cover letter, is to just start trying to get to know people that you think are interesting. It's definitely how the best way to get into grad schools. Not only find a good program that you're interested in, once you find the program, who's on the faculty, who are you interested in, what are they doing that's interesting, how could you express interest in what they're doing in a way that shows your willingness to learn, grow, adapt, that kind of a thing. So, and what do companies care about? They don't want their time wasted. This is the cardinal rule of business writing, right? The iron imperative of writing. Always treat your audience's time as more valuable than your own. People can tell when they do that. I think we're getting really good at reading people's intentions, especially in email communications and that kind of a thing. So I'm hoping that you can kind of take this as a backdrop to find a situation that you're interested in, and then begin taking notes on what they value, understanding the position itself as much as possible, and going forward that way. No Zoom class on Friday or next Friday. Your original post is due by midnight. If you need an extension on that because you want to take more time searching for a position, that takes time. And I think you're going to get more out of the assignment if you find something that you actually want to apply for. I'm totally willing to give you that extension. Just let me know, and you can pretty much you can assume that the extension's granted. Your peer comments are due on Sunday. Revised original post is due on Monday. And you do have a reading notes over your job post. So if you find a job posting, just cut and paste the keywords out of it that you want to use in your cover letter, anything from the website, all that stuff. Does that make sense?
I have a question about the discussion post.
Okay.
So if we're going to use quotes from the job posting, do we have to like cite those, or is that just implied that it's okay?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, great. Just put it in there. I'm actually going to ask you to post the job posting. It doesn't ask you to post the job posting, but I think it would help everyone giving you feedback to see what you're responding to. It's going to help all of us see what kind of language people use. One of the things we need to tackle next week is how to not trust job postings. There's ways that job postings are deceptive. And I know from having written them. Cool. Other questions? What I want to do, I'm going to stop this share, and we still have a little bit of time. Any particular questions about a particular situation or anything? Cool. Well, as we go forward, what's most interesting about this unit is if we can get specific questions in specific situations. We'll see that it's interesting that way. So like one of my favorite examples of this is a student that was applying for a wildlife sanctuary position. And in their cover letter, they were wondering whether or not they should bring up the time that they stopped the car to take a turtle out of the road. Should I put that in there? It's a good appeal. That's what I mean. So if there's an interesting question like that that's relevant to a specific job that you're interested in, awesome. That's what I want to try to engage with next week. Cool. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Good luck on week 5. Let me know if I can help. Office hours are available.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you, Gabby. See you, Peter.
Sean.
See you, Cheyenne.